Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SE Talk und ich habe jetzt eigentlich ein super Interview. Eigentlich es ist mein letzter Tag heute hier in Vancouver und ich habe in Simon Ridgway bei mir. Er ist, jetzt hätte ich fast er ist extrem lang in dem Markt, seit den 90er Jahren. Er ist auch teilweise sozusagen auch eine Legende. Es ist mir eine Freude, dass ich mit ihm ein Interview machen kann. Wir reden jetzt nicht um spezielle Aktien, sondern wir versuchen jetzt einfach einmal eine gewisse Grundinterview zu führen. Simon, thank you to have time, and I say in my German introduction.
Well, thank you for inviting me to talk.
And you are very long in the industry.
I mean, I listed my first company in 1991, but I started prospecting in the Yukon in the mid 80s.
Mid 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I discovered my first stocks. That was also in the
mid
mid
80s.
80s. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the problem for me was it was not the perfect timing. 87.
87 was tough. Now, was that mining stocks or that was in the
no?
general,
It was in the
general
market. It was general market.
Okay.
So it was not the best entry point, but on the other hand, you learn it on the tough way.
You learn from the bad markets, yeah. And when I listed my first public company, which I did name Tombstone Explorations because it was based upon a tombstone suite of intrusives in the Yukon. 1991, it was listed in November, and that was a very bad market also. It was a very bad market. So I started out in a tough market, and I was able to keep it financed more or less until 1994 when the market turned.
Yeah.
Or 93, 94 when the market turned.
You have very long history in the resource market, and we coming out, or I must say the whole last 10 years, starting from 2011, was a really bad market. We see a whole half year sunshine to 2016.
Not even a half year, I don't think, really. Some little windows of sunshine and then back in the doldrums. But if, the years before 2011, 2005 or 2006, we'll say, to 2011, it was a very, very strong market, apart from 2008, obviously. And even at that time in 2009, 2010, my thinking was, this is an amazing market, an amazing bull market. We are going to go through a long bear market after this. It is just seemed to me, and we have.
No, but what was my point was more, we see now 9 years of really bad market. Is this comparable to the 90s, or do you see any bear market really that's really so long?
I haven't been through one comparable. I mean, they've been steeper and more aggressive, but the complete lack of interest in mining in general has been shocking for the last 3 or 4 years, and maybe that's because of the interest in other things such as marijuana and but they disassociate. Nobody was interested up until a year ago. Perhaps it started to get a little better, I think, in early 2019. We thought it was going to get some sunshine, but it kind of leveled off, and now January, it feels good. It seems to be
a little
very
window of
optimistic. It feels different, but let's see. I mean, often, for whatever reason, it seems just about the time of the PDAC is when the market loses interest again.
There's always a no-brainer.
Yeah.
PDAC is always a bad.
I'm just going to have a coffee because it's been a long week with all these conferences on. I hope you don't. Thank you, Kirsten.
That's for sure. That was unbelievable. And we saw us first on the conference. What you think on the conference? The conference was, from my point of view, pretty good.
It was very good. Yeah, actually there were 3 conferences. You had the Metal Investor newsletter conference at the beginning of the week, and then the Cambridge House conference, and now the Roundup. And there's a great energy. It's very, very different to other years in the last 4 or 5 years. Very different.
I met this morning somebody, and he told me that he spoke with Jay from Cambridge House. Was it? Jay Martin.
Yeah.
That this was the second best conference what they have so far?
With the numbers of people?
Numbers of people they attend.
The numbers of people, I think, and the quality of the speakers as well. They had some excellent speakers on the stage. It was a very interesting conference, but it was really well attended, and there was a buzz in the conference for the whole 3 days.
Is this maybe? Is this really? But come back to them what you said previously that nobody was interested in the mining industry. I have the feeling sometimes when we run around in Europe that nobody think when they buy a car, a mobile phone, a computer, whatever, that he don't think about it, that many parts of it must be mined first.
Yeah, many parts of it must be mined. And yet, a lot of the people that buy all this are very anti-mining. But that's another subject for another day.
We cannot save this problem today, do you mean?
Well, I don't really know, but I mean, basically, as I said earlier on, I'm an explorationist. I love exploring for gold and silver and base metals. I love the business. I'm in exploration. It kind of combines all the things I like in life. I've always been somewhat of a gambler. That's how I got involved in the initial years in this business. I love travel, and the excitement of chasing the rainbow is, I haven't grown up yet, I guess we could say.
Yeah. What was your biggest success?
Well, for the Fortuna Silver, and I've had a number of discoveries, gold discoveries, mostly in Central America, in Honduras and Guatemala and Nicaragua, and now in Mexico. My biggest success, I think, has been involved with Fortuna Silver Mines. I mean, I founded Fortuna Silver Mines in 2005 with Jorge Ganosa. He worked with me as a geologist and came to me with the idea of, starting a silver producing company. His family were silver miners from Peru. His grandfather was, and his father did somewhat. So silver was $6, and he thought silver price was going up. I didn't, I had no reason to argue with that. So I grub-staked Jorge, and Mario Shortlander, my partner, was also involved, and we grub-staked Jorge to find a silver mine. And from that, we built a company that's now New York listed with a 700 million market cap and mines in Mexico and Peru, and building a third one in Argentina. So that's a good success. At the same time we started Fortuna Silver Mines, I also started a company called North American Metals, which became an iron, developed an iron deposit. Unfortunately, the company blew up after I left. It at one point had $1 billion market cap, but they built the mine when it shouldn't have been built, when the iron price had already collapsed in 2008, early 2009. I made my early shareholders a lot of money and myself, so that was also a very good success. Unfortunately, it finished up costing a lot of people a lot of money because people made wrong decisions after I'd left. And just making the discoveries I've made. I'm not a geologist by background. I initially got involved in this business by actually winning a mining claim in the Yukon in a poker game. So I had I worked in the Yukon territory as cutting line and staking claims, and I've told the story many times, but it's still good to tell. So we went on one job in Ross River in the middle of the summer, and we got snowed in. We couldn't work, so I played poker with the 3 or 4 of us that were there to do the job. And at the end of the day, the guy I worked for owed me $1,500. So I was never really going to chase him for the money. It wasn't a friendly game, but it was a lot of money to lose in the back of a truck playing poker.
Yeah.
So, and I think about a week later he came to me, and he had some claims in the Wheaton Valley, and at that time it was an active area. Omni Resources was there, Egypt was there with a mine. So he proposed that he would give me half the claims for the money he owed me. So I agreed to the deal, and I think about 3 months later we sold the claims to Omni Resources, or optioned them to Omni Resources. And on the first payment, we got $25,000.
Wow,
That's a pretty good parlay in 3 months. So I said, okay, I think I better learn a little more about these rocks that I'm walking on. So from that point on, and I really enjoyed being in the bush and prospecting. So from that point on, instead of just working in the bush, I began prospecting and reading about geology and working with geologists and asking them questions all the time. And And that's kind of how it started. And that would have been 1983, 82, 83.
Okay. When a new guy coming into the market, in the resource market, a new investor, millennium, that's the real that they are all the companies looking for. What is the most important thing you must know about the resource market?
About the market, or about the market, or the exploration side of the market?
Yeah, in the end, it will come to the same. Then, if you have a good exploration project, it should also reflect on the market.
It reflects on the market. It markets itself. I mean, people for many years, I'm still, people tell me I'm a good promoter. I'm not actually a good promoter. I've been involved with a lot of discoveries, and once you've got a discovery, it's not that difficult to promote it, because you've got something that's
but then
worth
you
something.
Have first a good project and then good discovery before
That's
you
right. Before you become a good promoter.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been a person that can market anything that you don't believe in or don't think that it's going to be a success. Obviously, you've got to raise money to get the company off the ground initially, to get the exploration dollars to go find something. And I think if you believe in the area, you choose an area that you really think is very prospective. I mean, I think I've said many times in interviews that initially when I first got involved, I went to places where nobody was working, like Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be in Venezuela when Robert Friedland, 2 years after I'd been there, made it a place to go. So everybody wanted to come into a place where I was with a big land position. Mm-hmm. So that was stroke of luck, being in the right place at the right time. From that point on, I had, was a reputation of being in the right place at the right time, and so I could finance some companies. And basically, I chose countries where the competition wasn't very hard, because of trying to, again, be ahead of the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. I went to Nicaragua, Honduras, when nobody else was there.
So then you can choose also the better ground, what you think, then the competition is not really.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Venezuela, I think I lived in Venezuela from 91 to 94, and all the time I'd be flying over Central America, and Venezuela is all saprolite, and you don't see a lot of rocks there. Mm-hmm. So I was very jealous of looking down at all these volcanic complexes with rocks that you can actually prospect. So when I did leave, when everybody came into Venezuela, I left and went through Central America and the Caribbean looking for places where the mining law was either good or it was changing to be good, mm-hmm. And the rocks were good. Mm-hmm. And it finished up basing myself in Honduras, where there was really not too many companies working, good geology, and made a couple of discoveries there. Mm-hmm. And then really stayed in that area quite a bit. Even now I'm still working or have properties in Guatemala and not Honduras. And not Nicaragua, but Guatemala and Mexico is my focus for the most part at the moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when you look now into the market, what is now the best place to be?
Changing politics all over Latin America is difficult to pinpoint at any time, but I think Mexico is still a great exploration country. It's got the mineral potential there is phenomenal. I mean, mm-hmm. You just look at the discoveries that have been made over the last 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. So, and there's areas of Mexico, so rather than pick a country right now, you pick areas in a place like Mexico that you think have not been beaten to death. Mm-hmm. But getting boots on the ground in prospective terrains is the key to making discoveries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. For sure, it's very important that you have to be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm. And you got to get the right financing behind you.
Financing is a good point. We as an investor or as a future investor, they have no really too much clue about the resource or the resource market. When he look at it as at a company, what he should get and focus on it, then we all not mining geologics. We have not really to
I haven't got that experience.
We have no expertise.
Yeah.
So what he can do that he has a better success on the market.
Yeah, I think it's management. Look at management with a track record and make sure that management has got a lot of shares in the company.
Mm-hmm. So
not that they're
management and the management should have a
and
big
the management
portion.
Position, of course, yeah. I mean, you want to be aligned with them, not with the fact that they're taking high wages from it, but the fact that their interests are the same as yours. If you're going to become a shareholder, you want to make sure that they have a large position in the company.
Do you should also what the salary is from this management when the salary is low, when the action position is high?
I think basically the overall G&A, not just the salary of the individual person running the company, but what percentage of the money they raise are they putting into the G&A, and how much are they putting in the ground itself?
What is a good number? What do you think? Percentage-wise,
20%, I think, and depends on the where the project is. Obviously, if it's a very large project with lots of drilling going on, that's quite easy. So at that point, it should be even less than that. But for an early stage project generator exploration company, I think if the G&A is over 20%, you might want to avoid it.
Okay.
So
20% of the money 20% is good number. I
think 20% is a number I'd be comfortable with. I can look at my companies now and see they're in that range. But obviously, if a company's inactive, number one, you don't want to be involved in it. And there's a couple of inactive shells I have in the office here because we're looking for projects over the last 2 or 3 years. There just hasn't been the right market to be making a new company active. Mm-hmm. But I think and hope that's changing.
Me either, but I think it's a fair good chance that.
Well, eventually we'll both be right. So
hopefully we will see. So first, management position in the stock is very important. Then we should look at not too much money spent on the personal interest. The most money should be
accounting and I mean it's become a lot more expensive than it used to be. Just because of the filing requirements of any company right now. So having a listed company is gone up a lot over the last 5 to 8 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
that's a regulation, around the globe.
Yeah.
That's,
and the accounting regulations as well.
So, and we in Europe, we understand regulation. We are the founder of the world. We are the head of regulations.
Right.
What other things are important that can have success in the research?
Well, obviously you got to understand what is it they're looking for. Are they looking for zinc, lead, copper, gold, and is the market for the mineral they're looking for in a strong position?
Is it really so important? Then for sure, I think in the other way. Now, for example, zinc is out of favor. Is it now easier not for me to acquire good zinc projects, and they are cheap now? And when hopefully the zinc price...
It's easier to acquire a good zinc project right now, but would you finance a company that's going looking for zinc right now? Mm-hmm. Right? So we talk, there's two aspects of that. To get involved in a company that's looking to acquire a zinc deposit that's already located and wait for the price of zinc to recover, and then maybe you'll make money just upon that. But to finance a company or put money into a company that's actually going out there looking for a zinc project that's grassroots, it's a different story.
Is it you work in the so-called gold group? So that's a group of companies. What you are working now for? Yeah,
and it's loosely associated group of companies. I mean, and they're not all gold. It's Fortuna Silver mines, for example. Yeah.
Is it more a job for you that, and you said before that you have some shells, they are sitting and they are not active, that you are saying, okay, maybe the next bull market is this and that commodity, and I'm looking now for the best project in this area, that when the market take off, I have the right project.
Right.
Yeah. Is it more kind of job but doing?
That would be more my job to do for the inactive companies. Yeah. Well, I'm looking for a compelling opportunity in any mineral, really. Yeah. So for the opportunity to be compelling, it's the mineral they're looking for has got to have a good upside. Yeah. Right.
So coming to the future, then we must come to the end, and I think we are around to 15-20 minutes or so far. So how the future looks like. What should I invest now buy? Should I buy gold stocks, silver stocks? What do you think have the highest chance for success?
I think gold, silver. I mean, it's always been my preferred mineral to go looking for. We've had a very flat market for quite a number of years, as we both discussed. And the challenge we have really is the Dow. We're still making 20% to 25% a year. So if that doesn't change in the near term, then maybe just leaving your money in the Dow is the best place for it, because there's no risk there.
This is not possible that the Dow is every year going up 20%.
No, of course
that's not possible.
Right. But we need to see that change before we see a lot of money flow into our market. So I still think gold and silver would the minerals that attract me mostly at the present time.
Yeah, and we should not forget that the market, the resource market, is very small.
It's very small. I think I heard somebody say on the other day that one company, Microsoft, has got a larger, than all the mining companies put together in the world. One company's got a bigger market cap than that. That's how small the industry is.
But the funny thing is, and normally I use Apple. I think the whole resource market all together is a third of Apple. But
one third of Apple.
Yeah. But the interesting point is when you look at the iPad or the iPod and the iPhone and all their stuff have metals in.
All of it. Yeah.
All of them that used that must be mined before.
And unfortunately, I just bought a new iPad a few days ago because I left my iPad in a hotel room in Mexico City. So I bought a new iPad. It's on the old one's on its way back up, but so I've got the new iPad. But they've changed the cord again. They've changed the plug-in into the iPad again, so now you have to buy a new plug-in.
For sure. Yeah,
it's very frustrating. I mean, why?
I know.
But so it needs more metal. It needs all those things. But talk about a consumer society, they make things redundant very quick these days, which then makes mining more and more necessary.
Yeah. Last question. You have a lot of company where and work with it and so on. What it's not an advice or so, but when somebody look at some companies, which company he should look for?
Within the gold group?
What you very well know. It must not be only companies from your group. It can be something where I say, wow, I saw this on the conference, this sounds really great.
Yeah, most of my focus and all of my investment is in the companies in the office.
Yeah,
I really have no time to, if you're going to invest in exploration stocks, you really need to be on top of them and watch them closely.
Absolutely.
So I have no time but to watch my own companies. Obviously, we built in Fortuna Silver mines, although our market cap is very high at the moment, we're building a third mine in Argentina, and that mine is, when it's in production, which will be early this year, certainly before the end of the first quarter, that's going to double our EBITDA. So we're going to produce 160 to 170,000 ounces a year for the first few years at an all-in cash cost of about $850. So if you're going to double your EBITDA, the share price should to some extent follow that.
For sure, it sounds very good.
Yeah, that's a very interesting play. On the exploration side, Radius has got a couple of very interesting discoveries in Mexico, and I think over the next 6 months they'll start to result in a lot of excitement in the market.
Okay. Other companies?
Well, I've got an inactive company that's called Rackler that I will do something with. If the bull market is coming, like I think it is, it's a good time to get it active.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Yes. If we just get 2 of those 3 right, we'll be making good money.
That's for sure.
That's right.
Thank you for this.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Nice talking with you. Nice meeting you.
Ja, es war jetzt ein ganz anderes Interview. Wir haben nicht jetzt über eine spezielle Aktie gesprochen. Er hat am Schluss dann natürlich seine 2 Favorites eigentlich gesagt. Fortuna Silver, die macht jetzt ihre 3. Mine auf, damit wird sie ihr EBIT verdoppeln und das sollte natürlich dann den Kurs der Aktie nach oben bringen. Radiance war das 2. Die kommen mit sehr guten Bohrergebnissen ran. Die haben in Mexiko Und das dritte ist, er überlegt, dass er eine inaktive Firma wieder aktiv setzt, weil er glaubt, dass man einen neuen Bullmarkt kriegt und das wird dann natürlich auch sehr spannend sein. Schauen Sie ihn nur mal an, da sehen Sie auch, da hören Sie dann auch die Namen und auf dem weiß man, wo man dann genau darauf hinschauen soll. Das war's von mir aus Vancouver 2020. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, it was a pleasure.
Ja, was? Something?
No, I'm in big trouble with the companies I forgot.